Sometimes you need something that is short and sweet. Like me. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking you through some shorter book recommendations if you love reading contemporary fiction, literary fiction, genre fiction, or particularly if you are on Team General Fiction for the Amazing Readathon this year. The Amazing Readathon is a month-long readathon held in June. It's hosted by Brianna from Four Paws in a Book, and I am one of the team captains for Team General Fiction. So we will be reading a lot of contemporary fiction, literary fiction, genre fiction, and some historical fiction books too. My co-host for the team is Cara from Cara's Bookshelf, and we have got a plethora of knowledge for you on both of these genres, so I think that you are in pretty safe hands with us. If you haven't already signed up to take part in the readathon, don't worry, there is still plenty of time and I will leave everything that you need to know underneath in the description. But if you are looking for a couple of shorter books, whether it's for face-off weekend or whether you need them to go sightseeing, I have got some really great recommendations here for you. All of the books that I'm going to recommend to you today will be around or under 250 pages, which is the perfect amount if you want to get something done for sightseeing or if you're looking for something for face-off weekend. First book I'm going to recommend to you is by Fredrik Backman, and he turns up on my host favorite list, but I do not recommend the full-length novels for this one, particularly because The Winners, the third book in the Beartown trilogy, is about 670 pages. That's not what we're looking for here. We're going for much, much shorter than that. At 97 pages, I would recommend to you And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer. This is about a family who are struggling with their grandfather's diagnosis of dementia. He has a habit of going missing every single morning. His life is starting to become a little bit different as to what they would usually have known for him. He and his young grandson go out on a walk every single morning, and the two of them just catch up on what life is like, and you really get to see the world through the innocent eyes of a 3 or 4-year-old, and I absolutely loved this book. Another short book by Fredrik Backman is The Deal of a Lifetime. This one is also following a father and son who've been estranged for a couple of years and are now getting back in contact with each other and introducing what's happened in the time that they've missed each other. The father tells his son about a young girl who is in a hospital bed and realizes that she's not going to beat the cancer that is in her body with crayons and with drawing paper. And he also takes this opportunity to fill his son in on some regrets that he has had throughout his life. Once again, this book is completely heartbreaking and it's also really heartwarming. These books were also both originally written in Swedish and they've been translated into a multiple of languages across the world. So if you haven't read any translated fiction yet, this is definitely the one to start with, as it is a really good way to just dip your toes in the water. Another author with lots of short books is Alice Oseman. The first one I'm going to recommend to you is one of my favorite series of all time, and that is the Heartstopper graphic novels. These have also been adapted into a Netflix show, so if you've read these and you've completely fallen in love with them, go and check out the adaptation. I beg you to. Now, you might think that these look a little bit big because they have got about 200 or so pages, but it's all told in graphic novel form, which reads so quickly. You will get through this in about an hour or two if you really just put your mind to it and sit down on the couch with no distraction. This is the story of Nick and Charlie, who are two young boys in their last and second to last year of secondary school in the UK. Nick has been on the rugby team for years and years, and Charlie has just joined the rugby team, but he's also had a crush on Nick for years. Now that Charlie has joined the team and Nick and Charlie are starting to spend a little bit more time together, Nick also starts to question his own sexuality and has a couple of questions about why he's feeling this way about somebody he never expected to before. This entire series is just like a hug in 5 books. I absolutely adore them, and I really think that you could get through the entire 5 volumes that have already come out in maybe a day or so. If you've already read the Heartstopper volumes though and you want a little bit more from Nick and Charlie's world, I would recommend This Winter. This focuses on Tori, who is Charlie's older sister, and it is featured around Christmas. So if the weather starts to become a little bit too warm in the summertime, escaping into a Christmas wonderland might be the best way to do it. Charlie and Tori's Christmas is starting to look a little bit different to how Christmas has had other years previously, and this is pretty much shaking their entire family, but they are determined to get through it. I would also highly recommend Nick and Charlie. This book follows the two boys as Nick is about to head off for university, leaving Charlie still behind in their hometown. And everyone is wondering if they're going to last the difference, if they're going to make it, because so many people know that young love never lasts. However, Nick and Charlie are absolutely determined that they are going to be the exception to that rule. Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata is again translated from Japanese, so if you haven't been to Japan, if you don't live in Japan, it can also fit in for the sightseeing prompt of a country that you don't live in. It follows Kiko, who has worked in the same convenience store for about 18 years now and is completely happy with how her life is going, even though everyone around her is kind of pushing her to go to the next level. They're waiting for her to find a partner, they're waiting for her to find love, but she is so happy with where she is, until a new co-worker walks into the shop and turns her life completely on its head. The Swimmers by Julia Tsuka is about a group of amateur swimmers whose life is turned into chaos one day when the swimming pool that they all frequent has a massive crack that is formed at the bottom of it. They're all kind of thrown out on their heads with nowhere really to go, and this has really affected Alice. Alice is suffering from dementia and has been using swimming as a way to kind of keep her mind occupied. But while she has nothing to do, memories start to flood back to her about the Japanese internment camp that she was in as a child and all of the horror and atrocities that she had gone throughout her childhood. The book is narrated by Alice's daughter, and I think that that is such an interesting way to do it. If you need a bit of a pick-me-up during June, I would definitely recommend that you pick up The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Maxey. This is an absolutely stunning book. I also have a copy of it in Irish back at my parents' house that I have been using now and then to kind of rebuild my skills with the language, because having lived outside of Ireland for 8 years now, I don't really have anybody that I can speak the language with. This book is full of inspirational quotes and things to really think about when your life is really starting to get you down. There is going to come a point of the month where you are in complete burnout. You'll feel like you have read every single book that there is in the world. There is nothing that you can do to plow on, but this book is really going to give you a little bit of a pep in your step. Something that is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm definitely going to give it a try in June, is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Agawa. This is about a housekeeper who comes to the professor's home every single day and has to reintroduce herself to him every single morning. The professor is in his 80s and he is retired, and his short-term memory has been severely impacted. His memories now only last for about 80 minutes, and everything after that has to be completely renewed to him. Her young son comes with her every single day, and he and the professor sit at his table and have mathematical equations dancing around their heads, and this is something that is really going to trigger me. I am not a mathematician. I struggle to count past 10 if I am wearing shoes. So I have no idea how this book is going to go for me, but I do know that somebody on Team General Fiction has already said this is one of their favorite books, and if I read it during the readathon, I need to tell them how I think of it. So I am telling you now, I'm going to read this throughout June, and I'm going to tell you what I think of it. Antarctica by Claire Keegan is her first collection of short stories, and it has 3 stories all to do with love, betrayal, loss, grief, and I am so intrigued to read more of Claire Keegan's writing. I read Small Things Like These last year and I fell completely head over heels in love with it, and I know that she is an absolute master at taking so small page numbers and making such a huge impact out of them that I know I'm going to be in safe hands with this book. Another book by Claire Keegan that I'm going to check out in June is So Late in the Day. This follows Cahill, who is coming home from his office job in Dublin. It's a long weekend and he's sitting on the bus in anticipation of what's going to happen. He cannot get his mind, however, off of Sabine, a young woman that he would have met several years ago, and plagued with thoughts of her. As the story goes on, we start to realise why the date and why all of his thoughts are so significant today. Another Irish author whose short stories I want to check out this year is Sally Rooney. Now, everybody knows Sally Rooney's bigger books, but I want to go and check out 2 stories. The first one is Mr. Salary, and it is about Nathan and Suki. Suki moved in with Nathan when her mother died, and her father in her relationship was really troublesome. But now that they have lived together for a couple of years, things are really starting to fall apart and their relationship is starting to deteriorate. In Colour and Light, Aidan and Pauline are 2 strangers who meet each other at a fireworks display, and the fireworks in the sky are not the only ones that are popping off. Finally, if you want a book series that has over 100 short books that you can reach for at any time, I would highly recommend that you go and pick up The Babysitter's Club. This is one of the letter collections, so it is a bunch of letters that were sent between all 7 of the members, But the main series itself has about 136 books in the canon, and they are all ranging from about 190 to 260 pages. These are definitely books that you can read in one sitting. They are super short, and I know this because I read about 4 of them over Face Off last year. They are definitely going to be ones that you need to keep in your arsenal. And they're also a really interesting story about 7 teenagers all living in a town in Connecticut who set up a babysitting business to basically make life a lot easier for the parents of their town. Those are a bunch of short books that I think will really help out Team General Fiction in the Amazing Readathon this year. Are you aware of any other short books that I haven't gotten on this list that I definitely need to go and check out? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me this emoji because it does show how short these books are going to be. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.